Hello and welcome to the Barbenheimer 9/11 special episode of... It is 9/11 as I speak now. In fact, it's 10 minutes after 9:11 p.m. So, oh boy, finally on to the only two movies to do well this year. Well, obviously there's been tons more, like the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Yay! We have, Barbie and Oppenheimer. So, I mean, Barbie is now the highest grossing movie of the year, and Super Mario Bros. Is second. Well, I mean, people were saying, like, oh, there used to be superhero movies that were that were doing so well at the box office. Not anymore now, it seems. It seems. So now we have this new, whatever the new trend is for, like, high grossing movies, and it's just like kid shit. It's literally just like kid games. Just video games. The first video game I ever played as a toys. I gotta go to the movies and watch a movie about my toys. I just want to have my childhood up on the screen. When's the Pingu movie gonna come out, for fuck's sake? But I mean, the Super Mario Brothers movie was actually pretty good. It was actually really good, you know. It was just like a fucking piece of shit movie that had nothing to do with the... Well, I mean, it had things to do with the game, but it didn't really place them out well into a film. But that's what we're dealing with nowadays. That's what we have instead of... People think like, oh, I'm so done with superhero movies. Now I want like a new fad. And this is what we have. This is what we have, like kids' toys and video games, I guess. Although they've made kids' toys movies before, like G.I. Joe, and I don't think they did too well. I'm sure they're going to be like, oh, we got to like strike while the iron is hot and get a new G.I. Joe movie out, and an Action Man movie, and Gargoyles, I think that is actually happening, and a Street Sharks movie, yeah! Oh, dude, that would be so cool. If they had a Street Sharks movie, I would go there with all my bros, and we'd order like bacon barbecue pizzas you have in the cinemas while we watch the Street Sharks movie. Nom nom. Why can't I get a girlfriend? So I'm looking forward to... I'm so glad that... Can the writer's strike just continue on, please? Because they just don't seem to be getting it. There's no compromise being made with the writers, it seems. They're not like, look, if you pay us like the right living wage that we should have as like working people that spend all day and into the night working, if you give us that money that can like sustain us and that's a livable wage, we will write good content again. We'll write good movies and good TV shows. Speaking of good TV shows back in the day, I have been watching The Shield over the past few years, and like I just got onto season 4. I thought season 3 was okay, so I kind of took some time off, and then I started getting back into season 4 now. Holy shit, this is the best season so far. This show is like getting pretty fucking intense. Especially with the episode I just watched today where, spoilers. Oh, it's been only 17 years. Oh, better not divulge any spoilers just yet. But let's just say I watched the episode in season 4. I think it's episode 6 or 7. I think it's 7. Let's just say Vic Mackey has a very bad day. He has a very bad night where like one completely awful thing happens one after the other, and it ends with him having a light shone in his face. He's like, get that light out of my face, I'm a cop! Anyway, on to the Barbenheimer fucking... I guess it's good that like some films made some money this year compared to everything else. I think some things like Fast X, underperformed. Other films very much underperformed, like the new Indiana Jones. I mean, do you remember when the new Indiana Jones movie came out, like this year? Do you remember when that Indiana Jones movie, that, like the new one, came out earlier this year, just a few months ago, and it made about as much money as it cost to make? Therefore, it didn't fucking do well at all. So good for it. Before I get into the Barbenheimer review, I'm going to make you all wait and get salivated, because I have I don't know why, but I've been thinking about. Do you remember like? Maybe it's because it's like 9/11 time. Well, let's talk about 9/11 first. I remember waking up on that fateful night all those years ago as a young boy. I was only 10 years old, and I woke up in the morning and I went through my usual morning routine. I get out of bed and I go straight to the living room to turn on the TV, and I see just these two burning buildings, and then they like collapsed, and I was shocked and disturbed. I said, "Oh my God, where's Cheese TV? Where's Dragon Ball Z? Where's Pokemon? This is bullshit." I really had that thought. Like, I was just thinking, this shit is fucking ridiculous. I was like, oh, what the fuck? This just this news. Why the fuck is there news on this? I don't appreciate this at all. So, yeah, I did. I was talking about this on stage yesterday, and another comedian was saying, he was saying specifically like the episode where Goku becomes Super Saiyan is that was the episode that was going to be played. No. I mean the one where he kills Frieza. Yeah, so not too long after. So that was going to be the one that was playing. And he woke up and he turns on the GTV and it's not on. He's like, God damn it. Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, no, that's right, because I guess so. Because Pokemon, I believe, was on at 7 o'clock. So when I turned on the TV, no Pokemon, oh, fuck you. And then Dragon Ball Z was on at 8. Yeah. I must have been watching Dragon Ball Z at September 11 time. Unless this is all ass backwards. When was I watching Dragon Ball Z? I mean, it must have been in... Oh, whatever. All I know is that No, of course I was, because I put in a tape of Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, to watch instead of 9/11. And the tape must have cut off at some point because I was watching it and it shows Vegeta like shooting out a laser out of his hand. And then the tape cut off and it went back to the news coverage of 9/11 and it showed one of the buildings exploding. I was like, God damn, Vegeta! I think you missed Frieza! Oh no, they hit the Metropolis in Dragon Ball Z. So I was pretty pissed off, and then I think I heard my parents saying like, ooh, 9/11 on the day. Wow, this is like 9/11. Just reminds me of that 9/11. Oh, that fateful day that ruined all of life. I don't really have much else to say, but I've been thinking about my childhood and then like a few years past then. So when I was about 13 years old, and maybe even with that same TV that I was watching, where I was like, oh no, why is there no Dragon Ball Z? No Cheese TV? What's with this 9/11? Burning buildings, fuck off. Oh, they did. Actually, my other friend said he was watching Rove Live. Ooh, he got to stay up. So Rove Live was like, what the... Just cut to... I guess that's where it got interrupted. But they had to be like, yeah, but who gives a fuck? We don't care about American politics or socio devastation. Who cares? We can watch it all online now, as I've been doing for the past week, just watching 9/11 footage. I don't know if anyone had this, where I had it, so that TV, it was like a very small CRT TV. Oh, not like really small, but, you know, probably the size of my head. And it was, so, you know, as my parents like buy new TVs, like a bigger one or maybe even a plasma, they stuck this one in the back room. So the back room I had like the old old computer as well, where I used to write all my furry fanfic. but I also had I had my Super Nintendo and my Nintendo 64 in there. Yeah, because I used to be in the living room. And then I just threw them in the back room so I could play fucking N64 all night long. And I still couldn't beat GoldenEye. God damn it. I couldn't beat... I didn't beat any game. The first game I beat was Hulk. Hulk on the Xbox. And I had to use cheats to beat it. Anyway, I think the first game I completed was Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. But anyway, I couldn't beat Splinter Cell. Jesus Christ, that was a hard game. But anyway, without cheats. But anyway, so I had this TV where I mostly just played SNES and N64, but then we had Rabbit Ears. for the fucking Zoomers listening, like the antennas to make it so that it would get all the channels, because there was no, like, Zoomers still not going to understand, like the thing to plug into the wall. You plug it in the wall and you can get all your channels, like I have with my TV right over there, but I need to update it, and I haven't watched broadcast TV in the longest time, because, boy, fuck that. But anyway, it didn't have that, so you just had the antennas on top, and it didn't even get all the bloody channels. It would only get SBS, ABC, and Access 31. Woo! All right, all the fucking hippie college student stoners being like, yeah, man, this new Chomsky book is it's really revelatory, and then the signal will cut out for 30 minutes, and then cut back in. Oh, sorry, we just cut out for a little while. But as I was saying, it's like, oh no, instead of like trying to fix these presenters just went out for a quick J in the meantime. So I don't seem to have too many memories of Access 31, it seems. Where Rove Live got his start. But I do remember SBS mostly, but not ABC, because SBS. So I'm wondering if anyone had like this same childhood thing where like you would go into the back room, because I go to bed at whatever time when I was 12, 13 years old. My parents are in the other living room, but I would like sneak down into the back room and watch TV real fucking low. Yeah, good old memories. Watching this just shitty, like, I would watch like I think I watched a bit of South Park, but I was mostly watching Fat Pizza. You know when they had that live show of Fat Pizza on? Remember that? Remember 9/11? Never forget Fat Pizza Live. I don't know exactly how that show came about, because they made a whole... it was Fat Pizza Live in front of an audience, and they'll do all these skits and everything. It wasn't really like the show, but they have characters come in, and I don't know, whatever, that's great. But I liked it as a kid because I was really into Fat Pizza, but it was MA rated, so my parents were like, oh no, you can't watch this, you have to go to bed. Go to bed before supper at 6:30 p.m. So I'd have to go to bed, but I'd sneak in and watch it. And I don't know, I think there was just some tits. I think that was it, Maybe not even. I don't know, because it had this whole thing where it kept being like, oh, transmission got cut out. And then that would be a whole gag that they'd have. Oh no, you didn't get to see the tits, but we did. And then they'd just go in the ABC parking lot and do burnouts. And I don't know what the real genesis was for this particular season of Fat Pizza, where they had this kind of thing going, rather than just make another season. Maybe they're just like, oh, do you want to do this? And it'll cost like, probably a tenth of the budget, or that's already low of Fat Pizza. And then Paul Fenich, whatever, was just like, yeah, sure. He just wanted to go for it, because I respect them, whatever. I wonder if there's a new Fat Pizza on, or a new Housos, or a new Swift and Shift. I don't know. I keep going back to watching them, and I'm like, oh god, it's kind of hard to watch. I just remember like watching The Ring 2, the Japanese one. I watched that fucking movie in like that kind of like situation where it's like at night, I'm young, it's like a very cloudy, snowy signal, and I have to watch it very quietly, and I just thought, this movie sucks, it's not very scary. So I didn't really like that. And I also watched The Shining that way as well, but unfortunately, just as God, when was it? Like, I think when Jack gets knocked out and taken to the freezer room is when I heard my parents walking around. I'm like, oh no, they're going to bed. I have to go to bed now. What a bunch of bullshit. So, yeah, I wish I could have... Just as the movie got fucking going, god damn it, they should have started it earlier. And that's really... Oh, and the only other thing I remember, and this is strange because... I think in that same situation, like, I was watching SBS and I saw this, like, they played all sorts of, like, crazy foreign movies, and they played, I don't know what movie, but it was, like, what I saw was, like, a black and white Japanese movie, and it's showing these POV shots of this guy, like, raping this woman, or just fucking her very viciously, and she's just going, And the guy's going crazy on her. And then my friend made, I can't remember exactly, like one of us made a joke about it. And my friend said something like, or maybe I said it, like, oh, you'd be like some Japanese bitch being raped on SBS. One of us said this, and then I looked at him like, whoa, you saw that same thing too? But I mean, that's what you're going to do when you're 13 years old. You're just scrolling through SBS and you're like, ooh, black and white Japanese movie. Let's stay on this until the rape scene comes on. That's what it was like being a Japanese 13-year-old black and white boy back in the day. Anyway, speaking of the Japanese, let's get on to Oppenheimer now, shall we? With the Barbenheimer review. So, my opinion about the two movies. Firstly, on to Barbie. My opinion about Barbie is that I haven't seen it. And it just seems like every opinion that could be had about that movie has been had. So, like, just every fucking... So, there's just so much going on, so... But whatever, I don't want to watch it in... I'm sure it'll be on Netflix, and hopefully it'll be on Netflix at a time when I have Netflix, like, a bit later in the year. I usually get Netflix around, like, November time, you know. So, I'ma do that. If it's there, I'll watch it. Fine, I'll finally just get it out of the way. I'll go in with an open mind, a very clean mind. I'll just go in like, I have no idea. Who are these actors in it? I don't know. What is a movie? I've never seen a movie before. That's how open a mind I'll have when I watch it. But as for Oppenheimer, so I've seen this twice now. I saw it at the goddamn, the preview screening. And I just thought, like, okay, this is a good movie. It's good. It's like a good movie. But there's still like quite a lot going on where I did want to watch it again to kind of see how it would sit a second time. And I'm glad I did, because I didn't think like I liked the movie that much more on a second time, but there were some things that I liked more about it, whereas before I didn't like. Like, for instance, the whole ending, the last 50 minutes of the film or whatever, like everything from that's dealing with his, security clearance or whatever. That whole thing, like, because when I saw the movie and it gets to the Trinity test bomb sequence, that feels like the climax of the movie. And then so going on to all this other stuff that's like it makes it feel so deflated, where it's just like, oh, where'd you get a security clearance? Well, did you introduce any communists into... Do you have any communist affiliations? Well, why didn't you tell us? It's just a whole lot of that, so I found it to be... I remember trying to pay attention, and I just couldn't. I was just like, we already saw, like, what do I even care? Like, I kind of felt like I wanted to go into this movie, learning more about the bomb itself and the creation of the bomb, and maybe all the politics to do with that. Oh, I mean, which you do get, but I mean, it's a long fucking movie. It's a funky 3-hour movie. So you get a lot of that, and then you get the bomb sequence. I guess I just wanted a bit more of the science as well behind it, which, it's there. I wanted a bit more. All right, I suppose I have to wait for the 5-hour fucking director's cut. Actually, no, I don't think Chris Nolan does director's cuts. All right, well, fuck you then. It sat well better with me the second time watching the film, because it really kind of puts forward the real message of the movie, which is that, like, this guy, the titular titty character, he has such an irony, because during this time of, stopping the war, like, particularly with the early 40s and being like, come on, we gotta fuck up Japan and Germany, come on, guys, and Russia. They're our allies, fuck it, do it anyway, they're gonna fuck us later. So with that, like, you had this burgeoning American excellence, and that really, like, went on into the 50s with baby boomers and, what do you call it? God damn it, there's a word for this. The golden era. What's it called? Just, I don't know, like American idealism or whatever of the 50s, where everyone had more leisure time and more time to, more there was more economic prosperity for families to be able to do shit, and there was like, even technological advances and that kind of thing. I swear there's a word for this. McCarthyism. No. So I don't know, there was that. And it just generally not being any, there were wars that America was involved in, but not anything as big as that. And we were like, fuck it. If there was a proper war, we'd fuck them up, yo. So that's what the film is looking at in retrospect. And what we're obviously seeing is, with Oppenheimer in the movie, he doesn't subscribe to this American excellence. Instead, he has the American guilt, where he's like, oh no, I killed all these bloomin' Japanese. I killed all these Japs. These fucking zipper heads. Oh no, I feel so guilty of all the children or whatever that I killed. And, so he has all that, that kind of guilt, even though the American excellence is combating against that, because everyone thinks that, he put an end to the war finally, and that there was this technological breakthrough in terms of just warfare in general, and now it was nuclear. And obviously, this film is, obviously very much in retrospect, because it's been bloody well 240 years or however long. But like his whole queries, his concerns about what nuclear warfare, because he in the film he obviously sees that this isn't going to be simply an American thing to have, that other countries can have it. He's like, oh, look out for those Ruskies. So he's and the Iranians, and look out the Indians as well. So he has those kind of concerns, and obviously this all makes sense in the whole retrospect of it all, and how. Oh man, I wish I was more knowledgeable about this. What is it? The Geneva fucking whatever? What's the Nuclear War Act Treaty of 49? I don't know. I'm an idiot. I should figure this stuff out. But like what he was concerned about, and how once both bombs were dropped, everyone in America thought like, we're such big dicks, we can deal with anyone. And he's thinking, well, this kind of technology and discovery is sort of in a way available to any other country, as long as they have the resources and the know-how and to like make it happen. So, aren't we going to be a little bit fucked? And it all worked out after those first two bombs, because then these nuclear warfare just simply became deterrence, and it never happened again until right now. Probably would bloody happen in Perth. I'd probably look outside and see a big mushroom cloud. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It's like literally Perth's 9/11. It happened right on 9/11. So yeah, that's the irony. And so because he's using his guilt to go up against the excellency, it's not just like, oh, you can have your own opinion and whatever. Everyone's just mad about Oppenheimer, and this is kind of I guess it's just a thing that goes to show that no matter what you do in life, it's never fucking good enough. You can stop World War II single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, but you're very much a big part of how it ended finally, and people are still like, oh, well, what did you mean when you said that? So it's that whole thing. So that's why the last the last bloody 7 hours of that movie sat well with me. And I think maybe just having seen it and know where it's going, and knowing that like, oh god, we got another 15 minutes or whatever of the film, I was able to be more comfortable with it, and not be like looking at my watch or whatever. So that was cool, but it does still seem a little bit, I suppose, how would you say, asymmetrical, because when you're watching the film, it makes sense to be structured in that way, but if it's structured in an actual blockbuster kind of way, or even like any kind of bloody movie generally, like you want the climax to be the climax, the big moment, and you have that big moment in the middle of the film with the Trinity test sequence. So the ending of the movie is just a bunch of like, oh, might get my clearance, maybe, I guess I didn't, and then it just ends. But really, I like the way that it was all done, and that whole like Trinity bomb sequence is pretty amazing. Even though I think like quite a lot of the movie is a bit annoying. I think it's just Christopher Nolan's style, where he makes films like movie trailers. I mean, a few people have said this, and I really get the feeling where it's just edited this shit. So much editing, so much like crisscrossing between timelines. Like, there's no real like scenes with breathing room apart from that Trinity test sequence, and like a shit ton of music. So the music makes it seem like you're not in. It's like you're watching a movie scene. You feel like you're watching a movie because you have so much shit going on, like that's breaking the I guess the immersion, because you just have like all this editing, cutting between timelines, and the music, and it's never just like sitting still and making you like kind of take in a movie scene, like it's a piece of reality, when you get like really sucked in it and immersed. So that, I guess is a problem, and especially for a fucking 3-hour movie. I mean, it's not the biggest issue, but it's something that I was noticing. And actually, at the beginning of the movie, I didn't mind it. I really enjoy like the first 20 minutes of the movie, because it is showing Oppenheimer in his early days, where he's like getting into physics. And I don't know why I keep thinking of like when he keeps throwing glasses like in the corner of the room to like see about how they, like, judging the physics of them as well. I like a lot of that, like the opening shot is like of this water against the raindrops on the water, and how it shows the ripples, and like later on it shows, I kind of didn't put this together until the second time, when they're looking at the map of on the dinner table of where they want to like drop the bomb, and it's showing like the ripples on there as well. And then it's showing it at the very end of the movie where he's looking over at a river. So I do think it's good that Christopher Nolan can really like stuff a film with like, quite a lot going on, even when he's like kind of losing focus, maybe not so much in story, but just in terms of, just the filmmaking, like just let it sit and breathe for a second. But I do appreciate Chris Nolan, like, he's not someone who's making a film that it's that beneficial to watch just once. He's making it so that you can watch it many times. So that's why as I thought like Oppenheimer, it's a good movie, but I did want to watch it again. Like I thought it was certainly good enough to watch, and it is a kind of film where I did want to watch it again to try kind of absorb more of those details. So I definitely got respect for him in that kind of way, and in this Oppenheimer, even just the way it deals with this whole story, I think it's pretty bullshitless. There's not a whole lot of, I mean, there's some sex scenes where you're like, what's going on here? But there's not a lot of stuff like that, where it's just, I don't know, kind of detracting and just showing, I don't know, just as you see in biopics, where it just gets distracted from one thing and another, and tries to show him at his job, but then like him with his family. And there's not a lot of Oppenheimer with his family, like as in with his kids in this movie and everything. And just like, his wife having like a huge argument with him about his affairs doesn't exactly happen. And even if it does, it's 15 seconds long, so who gives a shit? So yeah, I guess it does seem like, but it does also seem like there was just so much fucking detail to put into this film, and just too much to really cram in, that they had to edit it down to like a movie trailer and have all this music playing over the top. When you're watching a movie and it's just like people are talking or something's happening and there's no music, and then when the music comes in, you're like, oh, it's gonna go on to the next scene. When you have that fucking feeling of like how movies are these days. Yeah, that's how the movie, like the entire movie feels pretty much in that way, and it's just edited to shit. So that's why the Trinity bomb sequence is so, it's like such a memorable moment of the movie, because it's a bit where it's like there's proper build up to it. It doesn't like keep cutting away and all this kind of thing. It's like, has actual forward momentum in the moment. And then when the bomb goes off and there's just silence, it's like, both times I watched the movie, I got so tense, like just waiting for that fucking jump scare bomb to go off, Yeah, it can really make you shat your pants. Yeah, I really did like that whole sequence. And I do like the early stuff with Oppenheimer, where I wish it would go into a bit more. I guess it's not that important, but just him and his whole like freaking out about physics. He's like, oh man, what's the deal with physics? Why would I throw a glass in a corner of the room, it breaks and shatters in that way? Will I do it again? It's different. What's the deal? How do I make it happen the same twice? And all that kind of thing. And you have like these little, see, I was going to say CGI. I mean, special effects things kind of thrown in showing, I don't know what, but they look scientific to me. They look like neurony thingies. So that's all cool. I do like all the effects. I like, the whole bomb sequence. It does look pretty cool. And the stuff with like, the ending of the movie is good. Like the very, very end where it just shows a bit of a montage of like, I guess his fears of like the world blowing up and all that sort of thing. That's why I wanted a bit more of that in the beginning, like to elaborate on why exactly he's feeling this way and why he kind of has that kind of physics teacher paranoia about the world. And that could tap into like him being like, oh, if you set this bomb off, it might explode the world. We have a near zero chance of that happening. It was pretty good. Shit ton of people in it, just too many too many actors. I don't think like Nolan does that thing where if you have like one character, taking one character and like abbreviating it so that he's like a bunch of different characters, not a bunch of different characters, but a bunch of different like real life people that get like abbreviated into the one character. He's like, no, we're gonna have like this character and this character, and they're all played by Oscar winners and this sort of thing. So yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, I think it's still okay. I think it's a tidy enough film. I think they haven't gone overboard with any of it. So yeah, I don't think it's pretty damn good. I mean, I can't see too much of a way of making this particular story any better in the way that they wanted to do it. Like, they're not showing the whole bomb and like Japanese people pointing and being like, oh no, Zarigusa, that whole thing. So yeah, it's funny. It's a funny movie. Fucking hysterical. Oh god, had a big laugh with it. But very intense, not intense, I mean very involved, very kind of just, seeming like it's trying to include all of the details of every bloody thing that happened with, whatever, like the book it was based on, American Prometheus. It's as if like it was just trying to get like each page onto the screen. We're just like, oh, come on, we gotta get everything. The movie in that way does feel like a fucking, it has the detail of a book rather than like having all this expansiveness. And I guess that's why it's edited to shit, and that it's so like, there's so much going on, and it's edited like so much throughout. But that's Chris Nolan for you. He just wants to always like, I don't know if that's really that necessary, cutting between like the timelines just constantly. I mean, I'd say it got just a little bit confusing, just a little bit. Sometimes I'd be like, wait a minute, is this after the war or before? I mean, or during? I don't know. And that's my review of Oppenheimer. That was a queef, not a fart. And that's how I lost my virginity. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. This has been the David Morgan Brown Experience. The 9/11 special. This is the 911th episode of the show. Woo! Oh, boy. Oh man, I just remembered I was going to talk about that comedy movie. And again, I am teasing you once again, so that will be on for the next episode. So I'm going to go now. I'm going to go watch my Blu-ray of Synecdoche, New York showed up. So that's an appropriate movie to be watching today. I'm actually going to be watching two movies. I'm going to be watching that, and I'm going to watch 9/11. My favorite action movie, directed by Christopher Nolan. Wow, no CGI, or he uses practical effects. Wow, it looks so realistic.